So this is the week 8 discussion about death and dying, which I hate because I have a pathological fear of death. When I was little, probably, I want to say I was 7, I had a violin teacher through our church, and I was very close to her. I saw her a lot. She was teaching me violin, and one day my parents told me she died, and I didn't understand it because I had just seen her, and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, only sick people die, only very old people die. And of course, as a curious child, I asked like how she died, and they said she died very peacefully. She died in her sleep, thinking that would be cathartic for me. But as a young child, I was like, well, died in her sleep, what happened? Like, and my parents said, well, she just fell asleep and she never woke up, and sometimes that happens. And from that moment on, I had a huge fear of dying in my sleep, to the point where up until about a year ago, every night as I was falling asleep, I would have panic attacks, because I was so scared of dying in my sleep. And not that, like, as an adult I could not think of it logically and rationalize it, but that fear was so present in my mind as I was falling asleep that it didn't matter. I would my chest would tighten up, I would start breathing, not being able to breathe, pain in my chest. So every night, it's super fun when you're afraid of falling asleep. So I don't like talking about it. I will not discuss or theorize about what happens after death. I do not believe in God. I do not believe in an afterlife. I have tried my entire life to justify the existence of a higher power in an afterlife, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I've seen no proof. Nobody else has given me proof. And it just doesn't seem logical to me from everything we've learned, because everyone has a different idea, and we can't all be right, and we can't all be wrong. So there has been a lot of death in my life, and the grief process, I think, is important. As far as it being a human ritual that is necessary for moving past the loss of someone. And I think we can all engage in that. I can engage in it regardless of my own fears and not believing in an afterlife, etc. I can engage in a grief process without needing to have any assurance about what has happened to that person. And I do think that from a ritualistic and the human need for rituals standpoint, like, with Jungian theory, is that you need a grieving moment in order to process and move on. My family, and I've seen this in other instances as well, particularly during COVID, was a very odd time, because that kind of communal coming together and engaging in the grief process for a wake, a funeral, a celebration of life, whatever you want to call it, was taken from us. And I know that, like, for some people, wakes, memorials and stuff were put off a year, sometimes more. I know we have not had my grandfather's memorial service. He died in 2021. And it has, I feel, caused a lot of, like, a lot of our family members feel very stuck because of this, that we have not been able to come together and cathartically participate in this process. And I think that we're gonna see a lot of prolonged grief because of this, because of the inability for people to come together and participate in that ritual. That's just my prediction from my personal experience and other things I've witnessed. So I don't know. I guess that is like 5 minutes of how much I hate this topic, but also my thoughts on grief as ritual and the importance of that. And I think it's very important to, looking at becoming a counselor, I think that it's not just COVID too. There's a lot of reasons people might be unable to participate in like a family or group ritual, whether they're not close with their family or are excommunicated from their family. And I think it's important for us to kind of think and adapt to that and maybe offer solutions for a more personalized ritualistic experience in the grieving process for people. So that would kind of be where my thoughts go. But anyways, good job, everyone. Good term. Keep on keeping on.